Years ago there was zero production, nothing. It was a bare salt scald with no vegetation on it, and just sheep walking over it and camping on it, trying to get from one side of the paddock to the other. I guess here is a good patch to stop really. If we hop down here you can actually see what would look like if we did nothing. So the whole area was a salt scald like this. We can see it's compacted, it's shallow, it's saline, we got no plants on it. The old timers grew some really good crops through here. And then in the 70s the water table started rising because of the water imbalance we've created by clearing the remnant vegetation. The visual impact of the salt scald, you look around the countryside and you thought, this is crazy. We've got all this water that's running down the creek, it's causing a salinity problem. We've got to be able to manage this a lot better. I remember clearly going to a field day out east of Pathara, which is a town just north of Mallee, and we got given some saltbush seedlings to bring back. And I planted those on a little bit of salt on our back driveway at home, and they just took off. And I thought, wow, we can do more with this. We came to this last project, which is about 19 years ago, 2001. Thought, well, we'll better implement something a bit different here rather than just planting it all to trees. I broke it into about 4 zones. On the outside of the trees, we have a bit better land that we use for just normal pastures. Then we've had the oil mallee trees, and then we come in a bit further and we have the saltbush zone, which I sort of designed, which has got mostly river saltbush. And then further in, down here right in the valley floor, we have the samphire, which is just a native that's come back in just from having the land fenced off. And then we'll be able to establish plants on this saline area where there's lots of water to utilise for grazing at certain times of the year. These plants here are examples of regeneration. Just from them throwing their own seed out. Over this way we've got quite an older established one that's sitting up quite high. So and looking very fresh. So that's obviously got into some good water. And then just looking around here, we've got ourselves the ecosystem's ticking along pretty well. We've got a bit of fungi and the old mushrooms looking pretty good. So the whole system's working really well. The more ground cover we have, the less evaporation we get, and we can sort of slow down the salt scalds a bit. It is an unused asset, and there's a fair proportion of farms that are unarable. That means they're not croppable. Whereas if we run a few livestock in these areas at different times, you can make a little bit of money off it. You can make them productive again. The sheep can get a really good chew off something like that. Then they can come across and get a mouthful of blue bush, a mouthful of that, and they're a pretty happy animal. We've turned it around. We've stopped the salt scald. Now we've got this green living haystack. We make good use of it, and running sheep through here at certain times of the year. So yeah, so look, I think make a start. I think that's the important bit. Make a start somehow, somewhere, and see what you can make of it.